I've got three basic points to make. First of all, I think it is worth restating the fact that you may have read in the papers that there was a referendum in the UK which had a certain result. But it is worth restating the fact, which was pointed out with some eloquence by the President of the European Council, Donald Tusk, that until such time as we actually leave the European Union, when that specific moment happens, the UK is fully bound by all the rules and all the regulations, and of course will still continue to make budgetary contributions. So therefore, there is a relevance. Maybe I wish that there wasn't, but it's still there. In terms of what the rapporteur said, and also from the colleagues from the GUI and the Green Group, it is very interesting is that it's always been implicit in trade policy that the European Union sees that as a mechanism, to use their phrase, project European values, or to use it as a specific foreign policy tool. So when we talk about trade as the European Union perceives it, it isn't actually about trade. It's not even primarily about trade. And the contributions of the rapporteur and Mr. Schulz and the and Mr. Buchner, who I must take the opportunity to welcome, although he's not here to be welcomed, rather sadly, they all made it absolutely explicit, absolutely 1,000% explicit, that trade policy is to be used and is perceived as being a mechanism of projecting foreign policy goals. Now, this is not in the interests of the UK, it's not in the interests of the EU, it's not in the interest of trade. And it's something which I have to say I deprecate and deplore. But anyway, it's not me making it up, it's absolutely explicit from what's been said earlier on. And then my final point, or my final insight is this. It was very interesting what the representative of the Commission said about abolishing the quotas on textiles. But I don't know how much arithmetic or how much analysis the Commission has done, and perhaps they can tell us, on the makeup of the Parliament. I mean, there are very substantial textile industries in Spain, Portugal and Italy, and doubtless others. And our experience has been, or the experience has been, that the producers of textiles, the manufacturers of textiles in European Union countries don't take kindly to the abolition, to the abolition of quotas. And I really question, and it'll be interesting to hear what the analysis is, if any analysis has been done, whether this will get past, whether these proposals will get anywhere near past the Council of Ministers, let alone the Parliament. I mean, we certainly found that with other colleagues here may possibly recollect emergency trade, the emergency aid for Pakistan in the event of some flooding. I don't know if any colleagues here remember that. But essentially, the proposal, and it was a very sensible proposal made by the British government, who I don't normally, which they did get past the Council, was that there should be a relaxation on the tariffs and quotas on Pakistan's exports, particularly of tariffs, particularly of textiles. And the experience was that that took up to 3 years to get through, by which time, of course, by which time one can assume that the flooding might well have gone down a bit. So I have a specific question, which I hope the representative of the Commission will cover, which is what analysis have you done about on how the representatives of textile producers, whether in the Parliament or in the Council of Ministers, are going to regard this proposal, and what analysis have you done, and what does that analysis reveal? And this comes back to a point that I've made many times, and in my book, which I will be distributing to anyone who's interested, that it's actually more difficult to make a trade agreement when you've got 28 countries than it is if you've just got one country. And that is what the experience of Switzerland and other countries demonstrates. It's more difficult. It's not easier. You're always going to hear from the BBC this complete rubbish that it's so much easier because you're part of a big bloc. It's actually much more difficult. And although I've been sharply critical of the EU Trade Commissioner, Cecilia Malmström, nonetheless, the fact is, it is a very, very, very difficult job to encompass the interests of 28 different countries and 28 economies, which tend to have very, very different structural characteristics. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for giving me this time.
Thanks a lot. And now I will give the floor to the Commission.
And just to come back to the last point mentioned by Mr. Dartmouth about, about whether it's easier to make trade agreement if you're 28 countries or just one. I participated myself in a very interesting roundtable on the 21st of June in the Parliament, which was about a study and an analysis that was made. I think it was by an economic institute in Austria. About this topic, what kind of bilateral agreement, trade agreement has the EU, and what kind, it was about EFTA, so about, and I will recommend you to read the study, it's very interesting. Thank you.